And that very silver shiny tree up there is not surprisingly called the wedding tree. Romantic couples go there and plight their troths and goodness knows what else, I suppose. So tradition in Narva, if you get married or you're planning to get married, you go and visit the tree and maybe make a wish. It's very noticeable walking around here. We see very familiar style workmanship. These type of brick bastions. If you've been in Tallinn and looked around the old town, the perimeter I mean, then you will think, hello, I think I've seen this kind of workmanship before. Here in Narva, they're taking advantage of the little space between that bastion wall and a rather more modern one and created a couple of tennis courts. Well, this is interesting. I think it may be a little out of date by now. Estonia, Latvia, Russia cross-border cooperation program. United by borders. And sadly, oh, Tall Herman Tower, another Pick Herman, the plan of the Swedish fortress. There is a museum if you feel like splashing the cash, but once again, out of season, you're not really getting your money's worth compared to how you would be able to enjoy the experience actually in summer season. Just means I've got to come back in summer, and maybe you have as well. Maybe try some of this ice cream when the kiosks open. Or maybe try a game of tennis. That Lavazza coffee machine looks very new and very tempting. Well, one side's €1.50, the other side €1. So there's something to suit all budgets there if you feel like a coffee. And let's face it, it doesn't come much better than Lavazza, does it? No, they're not sponsoring me. They're not sponsoring me. Not getting any benefits for bigging up Lavazza's coffee. I'm just telling it the way it is. And yeah, everybody knows anyway, don't they? If you've tried Lavazza coffee, that is, the real Lavazza coffee. Now, fountain's out of commission, which is a little bit of a surprise, isn't it? What do we find when we come down here? Information on the bastions. And they've all been given names, but I wonder if they are the original names. Do you give bastions names like Fortuna Bastion and Triumph Bastion and Gloria Bastion? Victoria Bastion sounds like we're entering the world of high fashion or something, doesn't it? So there we have some of the history, which I know some of you will be bored with. They just want to see the knights fighting on horseback, reenacting tournaments, slaying dragons. It was just a bridge like this and a really solid door. Went off at a tangent, trying to re-envisage how that looks based upon the fact that there's now a bridge, but there obviously was, judging by those old stones in the centre, they look as though they're They are ancient, so I guess that is a faithful reconstruction of how the bridge was. But you always like to think of drawbridges and portcullises, don't you? And there's a pussycat. I wonder what he's up to. Or she. Well, somebody's paying the food bill for that pussycat. And the vet bill. Because got a bright shiny collar. I guess she lives in the castle. Maybe keeps the rats down. And operates out of the restaurant Rondeel. Rondeel. It's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it? Rambling Ron reaches Rondeel. I'd like to make a deal with you over this restaurant bill. And yeah, lots of, wherever I'm going, lots of works going on. Makes me think of my trip to Helsinki. Major works going on everywhere on Suomenlinna Island and actually in the city centre and surrounds as well. And here's a blast from the past. Let them shed blood. You may or may not have said that. So it's interesting, when we were looking at the very large Alexander, I should say, feminizing Alexander by mistake, Alexander Lutheran Church, and that idea that it was the biggest church in Estonia, I was a little sceptical. Sceptical me, I shouldn't have been, because I just peeped at it from over here, and certainly it does look even more impressive, the fact that it dominates the skyline, as we'll see shortly. Just behind that mound of rubble. This is quite a distance, and although the camera may not really show it up, especially given the size of the Swedish castle here, but given the trees and everything else, there were some good size apartment buildings over there, but no, it's the church that dominates. It is a biggie. Here we have Narva Museum within the castle itself. But yeah, just trying to imagine what goes on here in the summertime, you know, if you just time it right, either by chance or by doing a little bit of homework to see what's going on. Just Google it from home or from the hostel, wherever you are. If you're in the middle of a trip already and you're thinking that you might come this way, and just find out what's going on in the weeks ahead, and then plot your trip, plot your route accordingly. That's what I would say anyway, because there's plenty of space for things to be going on here. And I'm sure with the history, there would be many events taking place. And it looks like there's a tourist group being taken round and given all the history in perfect, what language is it? I don't think it's Estonian or Russian. I'm not sure what language that is. We've got a little bit of a view there of the inner courtyard. Open 10 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. perhaps that's year round, and that's why there's no discrimination between the seasons as there was back in Rakver, if you remember on that video. And yeah, nice shop, well stocked, but I think I can give it a miss. I'm not going to be downhearted. The thing is, if you're constantly on the move, or you favour travelling outside of the peak season, you've got to be sensible about these things and realise that a lot of the places you won't be visiting them at the most opportune moment. There will be remedial work going on. There will be building sites and in some cases scaffolding, etc., covering up buildings. Places won't be open, not for months. If you're a really long-term traveller, you get used to this idea pretty quickly and you learn to take it on the chin. Get what you can out of the experience, and if you want to come back, yeah, make a note of it. Yeah, come back, I really want to see that place. I really want to do that activity. And it's not been wasted, it's been a bit of a reconnaissance trip. With a view like that, you can't really be downhearted, can you? That's much nicer than just sitting around in the hostel, down in the common room, on your laptop or on your phone, or watching some mindless television in the hostel common room. You come out, weather's not bad at all, quite nice actually again. You can still have a nice, relatively inexpensive day, and the views that we get from the historical buildings, whether they be the big castles, all the big churches, or just the rather attractive roads lined with old attractive buildings, it's all free. You're constantly being handed glasses which are more than half full, I would say. Now, where to next? Maybe the riverside. Maybe. And we've got some very slow business here at the border with Estonia and Russia. Not too much going on, but there are some vehicles and some people passing back and forth, as we saw from the other view of the bridge. This is the control point on the Estonian Narva side. Not really very interesting, is it? From our point of view, to be honest, it's far more interesting the fact that there's a toilet over there, should we need it, here in Petri Platz, which I guess is Petri Platz. Oh God, I just... do you see what they... Oh dear. Only a native English speaker would get that and think they wish they hadn't. Okay, moving swiftly on. I was going to say that Petri Platz kind of serves as a town centre-ish, but not really when you get here and see it for real, because not only is there that flipping nervy border crossing point there, there's also this large car park, essentially. So it's not really anything like a traditional town centre. And yes, I am making my way over to the Narva sign, because I am that sad individual who, every time he sees one of these signs, feels compelled to go and photograph himself at it. Oh, hang on, can I see the reflection in the water? Is that possible? Ooh. Well, 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 have I gone all artistic on you or what? Crikey, putting on airs with a crappy little handheld camera. Whatever next? What will I be trying to do next? I don't know. Sit down between two overlarge flower pots, probably, to take a typical cheesy selfie. Would I resort to that? You know I would. To get the angle. What are you thinking? Does it work? Or is it just hopeless? It's so sunny. And just beyond that border crossing point, I've noticed that this bastion wall just stretches on with Pick Herman, tall Herman Tower, just in the background there you can see. There's a significant amount of the old fortifications still left, a bit broken up because of that awkwardly positioned border point. Can't have everything, can you? I'm now going to see if I can take a little bit of a riverside walk. Well, there's an old architectural feature, but the buildings somehow look more modern than the actual gateway. If you get my drift, they seem to have been built on to the gateway, but enough of my pondering. Good golly, Miss Molly, look at all of this in central Narva. All these roadworks. Here we found the riverside. And there's Russia and the actual bridge looking down on it so we can see the traffic. I thought there'd be nothing, little or nothing, but it seems as though there are some vehicles. Of course, I don't know how long they've been in the queue waiting to cross into Russia. That may be a very different part of the story. But that's the closest I've been to Russia in over 40 years, can you believe it? And very scenic if you can look beyond the ugliness of the steel and posts and all those other unnatural border things, man-made. Having said that, some of the handsome features are also man-made. The historic castles and other buildings. Should I go further? Should I walk further? I don't think from memory that it was worth walking further. But of course, things could have changed since I was last in Narva. And there may have been more development upstream. But I think I'll take advantage of these stairs being here and make my way down to Riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna make war no more. Ah, well, there's a convenient toilet.